Hi guys, and welcome to this deep dive special. This week I am joined by my special guest Adam Dadswell, but before we go into that, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so, because every single day we have new content, new tricks, new vlogs, podcasts, you name it, we've got it. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the notification bell, and you'll be notified every time a new video goes live. Right, without further ado, let's introduce our special guest for today, Mr. Adam Dadswell. Hi mate, how are you?
Hey Pete, I'm good, thank you. You okay?
I'm very well, mate, very well.
Good, good,
So,
good.
for anyone that doesn't know you, Adam, give us
Sure.
a brief synopsis of, how you got into what you're doing and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So, I guess, for those who don't know me, my name's Adam. I'm based in the northwest of England, Liverpool area. I've performed magic for about 17, 18 years now. Predominantly started off in kind of card magic, that being my bread and butter. And I'd say over the last few years, I've started kind of creating more mental magic and mentalism style routines. So, that's kind of me. And I guess it's only really in the last 2, 3 years that I've started sharing like my ideas with the magic community. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Well, you've got, there are some, we're speaking about one product in particular now.
Sure.
But there is another product which we are bringing out of yours,
Mm,
um, which
yeah.
we'll do another deep dive on that when we're about to
Yeah.
launch
Yeah.
it. But what I will say is we took it to Magic Live with us in Vegas, and it sold out in the first day. Second
Honestly,
day,
crazy.
sorry. By
Yeah.
lunchtime in the second day, they had sold out, and purchasers were Chris Kenner, the amazing David Copperfield. I mean, literally everyone that saw it
Honestly.
purchased it, and it blew them away. Really did, and it's become one
Mm.
of our favourite dems in the shop because it never
Yeah. Honestly,
fails.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
it.
crazy. Like when Harry was messaging me on Instagram from Vegas, and I was just like, "This is nuts!" It's really crazy. So no, it was amazing. Obviously, to hear how well it was received, and I'm excited for it to be launched fully to the Alaka fam. So yeah,
Yeah,
I can't wait.
yeah, it's going to be great. My biggest regret was not flying Jamie out there with us just to do loads of filming, because as always, me and Harry go,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
not a problem. When we're on the stand, we're going to film all the time. And when you get round to it, you're just so busy that you haven't got
yeah,
time.
well,
You
I
just,
remember I was there. I was there with you guys in London, and you were like, "Yeah, we'll film it. We'll film it." And Jamie was like, "You've heard this. They'll film."
yeah,
And I was like, "They're
yeah,
going to be so busy."
yeah,
So it is what it is.
yeah. But I can't wait to introduce that. But we're not here to speak about that state. We're here to
No,
speak
not
about
today.
an incredible little utility deck that you've
Mm.
created. Now, there's been a few utility decks coming out on the market
Yeah,
over the past few years. I think one of the ones that really kicked it off was sort of Spellman's Gallery, that got people
yeah,
looking in different directions, and going, well, it's a great idea. Why use playing cards? And as a
yeah.
mentalist, it's so much better and so much more engaging, or feels so much more personal if it's not playing cards, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fair comment. I think for me, like what we're going to share is something called gradient, and for me, it was kind of born actually out of the idea of using ESP symbols, and I was
Yeah.
looking for alternatives to ESP, which I've toyed around with quite a few ideas on. But you are right, like a lot of what you can do with these utility decks, you can do card tricks with them, but it feels totally different for a
Yeah.
participant, and it can be. I think it can be more meaningful. There can be a more meaningful connection made with your participant with these props brought in instead of playing cards.
Yeah. No, 100%. So I tell you what, why don't we take a look at the trailer, and then we'll
Yeah.
come back and we'll speak a little bit more in depth. And this is going to be this is a proper deep dive where we are going to really be deep diving into the products and telling you about the
Hmm.
routines that are included and also what's built into this deck. So
Yeah, we'll touch on all the kind of secrets that are there. Maybe I'll leave one or two for people who pick it up,
yeah,
but I'll be pretty transparent on here. And yeah, we'll go into the trailer and then we'll touch on all of that.
brilliant. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, here is the trailer to Gradient.
Colour is a powerful and relatable aspect of the human experience. It's more than a visual sensation. You can evoke emotions, you can trigger memories, you can communicate without words. It influences our mood, it can affect our perceptions, it can guide our decision making. Each and every shade or tone has a unique set of meanings or associations, and that can vary from person to person. Now imagine harnessing this universal language in your performances. This is Gradient. Gradient is a powerful tool which looks like a set of sample cards that you would get from an interior design store or a paint shop. Within these cards are hidden secrets and principles that allows you to perform hard-hitting mentalism, leaving your participants with moments to remember. These cards have been specifically designed for magicians and mentalists to perform miracles. With this seemingly innocent prop, you are always ready to perform mind reading, divinations, predictions, colour matches, and much, much more. This is a prop that makes sense in the real world. It's super easy to use, which means you'll be ready to perform in no time at all. Included on this project is video tuition of over an hour and a half, which includes all the features of Gradient. It includes 4 routines and also a bonus jam session with Lewis Laval in which he shares his exclusive thoughts and ideas using Gradient. Have one person think of a colour or even have a group of people think of different colours, and you're able to describe each and every colour that has been chosen. Even have the cards mixed up, one taken out, and you can still reveal the colour. This will allow you to perform relatable and meaningful mentalism to connect to your audiences. My name is Adam Dadswell and this is Gradient.
Brilliant. It's just such a
Alrighty.
great little idea. Great
Thanks, man.
idea.
I think it's probably worth calling out a couple of thank yous as well, actually, just before we kind of get stuck into it. So there's a couple of people who were really, I suppose, influential during the creation of what you see today, which is actually Chris Rawlins, our good friend Chris Rawlins,
Yeah.
fed into a lot of the ideas and thoughts around it and critiquing what's there. And also another good friend of ours, Sam Fitton. So Sam has been a good friend for many years, and Sam fed into a lot of the ideas and things like the names and even the markings and things like this. So we're getting into method now, but just a couple of thank yous to those guys.
Brilliant. So I'll leave it with you. Tell us a bit about it.
Sure.
You've got one there, right?
Yeah, so this is Gradient. Essentially, it's a deck of 22 colour swatch cards. So these are the kind of cards you might get in a paint shop or a decorating store, or maybe maybe they could even be the cards that you might use in graphic design for colour. So essentially, I'll get them out of the deck and show you what you get here. 2 of the cards are actually what I call palette cards. So that is these cards here, and if I bring them in close, you may be able to see they've actually got the names on the colours there as well.
Yeah.
And these are just they're actually used in a couple of the routines more like jokers, but again they are a motivated prop. This is the all the colours in the range, and they are branded up as though they are a colour, a kind of paint range called Valux, right? It's a I mean, it sounds like a paint range, but it's actually
Yeah.
a mix of two other brands together. But I actually use these as jokers if I am performing like the Gemini twin style routine that's on the down. I call it Gemini tone, but I use these as jokers for that. But these are motivated props, and there is another secret built into these as well. So you get two of those, and then you get the deck of 20 color cards. So this is all the different colors that you get. On the back, they are just branded as the brand name,
Yeah.
with a bit of information about the year and things like that. And then on the front as well, you've got these quirky names. So this one's Purple Rain, for example, and they've got a color code for the specific color that you're looking at. But that's the prop. But they are riddled with secrets, let's say,
Yeah.
which we can talk about now if you want.
Yeah. Well, do you know what I really like about them is they really do feel like what they're supposed to be. So if you were ordering a pack through the post to check colours and everything else, and they've got a very clean feel to them. The backs are almost pure white, with just the brand name on them. But they have got that very innocent, clean feel about them, which is always great when you're doing a routine. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, tell us a little bit about the secrets that are built in.
Yeah, sure. So I think the main secret is that these are completely marked. We've already kind of alluded to it. So every
Yeah,
single card that you get in the deck is marked on the back of the deck. So we have mentioned it's a very clean design. It's got the brand name on there. There's a little bit of information under the brand name, which is essentially where the marking is. Um, so on the back of every single one of these, you are marked for the colour. But it's worth calling out, like the example we gave before, this is Purple Rain. This is marked for purple, but it's also marked for the word rain. So when you look at the back of the card, you can get both words from it should you need to. Um, the one thing I would say, I'm not going to show the marking to camera, but one thing I would say is hidden in plain sight. So it's very easy to read the card as to what the colour is on the front, but it also completely blends in to I suppose the nature of this prop. Like you're
yeah,
looking at it's in plain sight. You are looking at the marking. When I've showed this to magicians for the first time, not really alluding to the fact they were marked. They never really picked up on it. I just say, "Oh, have you seen the markings?" And it was only when they then started studying the backs that they did find the marking. But it's hidden in plain sight. Psychologically, it makes sense.
yeah,
So that is the marking on the back. So that it's marked for, which means obviously, if a card is taken from the deck in the process of a card being removed from the deck, such as this one, I know that's grey. Okay, so
yeah,
if you can see that on the camera, if I'm holding it up. So you can do that. The other things that are built in is the deck is stacked as well. So there is a stack built into Gradient. You don't have to use the stack, so you can shuffle these up and you can just use the markings for your routines. But what I tend to do is I tend to start in stack. I'll do a few things in stack, and then I will get everybody to mix the cards up, and I'll move into using the markings for a routine.
yeah,
The stack itself, there is a crib, or there are a couple of cribs kind of built into the product should you need to reference it. I mean, over time, you start to learn the stack. However, the front of the box is actually a crib for you. So the kind of minimal design for the box, which is just the brand name and all the colours, this is actually in stack order. So should you need to, you can glance down at the box that's on the table and you can reference the stack. Or the Pete, you'll already be there, and I know you know this, but the cards at the beginning, the palette cards that we use, these are also the stack.
yeah,
So even if you brought these cards out, pop them on the table at the side, gave these cards a little false mix, then you can use your stack instantly without any memory work just by glancing down to the table. Um, so, for those who aren't familiar with stack work, that would mean you could have one of these cards chosen Without looking at it, you can cut the deck, and you could look at the bottom card, which obviously will be the card above it in stat. So therefore, you could be able to determine the colour that they've got just based off the stat rather than the markings, for example.
Yeah. And you would even be able to do that without looking at the bottom card, because once you read the mark on the top, you know it's the following card or the card prior or whatever,
Yeah.
which is really,
Yeah.
really cool.
It's such and one thing I would say. Oh, sorry, Pete, cut off a second.
No, I was going to say the other thing that you've done, which is really interesting, is you've given each colour an interesting name. So you're not just going yellow. You know, you're actually, you can play with the other words within the title of the colour.
Yeah, so I think that, again, there's probably a bit of a thanks to go out to a few people for helping out with the names as well. So when I shared the idea of the colour deck and a lot of feedback was coming in, again, Sam Fitton, Chris Rawlins, Lewis Laval, Ben Francis, a lot of people fed into Andy J, Rich Relish, people fed into the names and ideas. But yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. Like every single card, or colour I should say, has two words which make up the name. So I'll just grab an example. Okay, so for example, here we have Spanish blue, which is here. Looks a bit purple on the colour there, but it's a blue card. And what that means is that when we're revealing the colour, we can add some texture. We can add some texture to how we are revealing that information. So I'm seeing a bright sky, like there's a sun in the sky, and it's almost like we're in a foreign country. But are you thinking? I'm seeing the sky a lot. Are you thinking of blue? So you can add a bit of texture to how you get to the colour. But my favourite thing to do with the names is to actually not instant stooge, but create a dual reality between within the situation you're in. So let's say you were performing for a group of people and somebody chose the Spanish blue card. Here's how I would reveal it. I would say, now when I'm trying to thought read, when I'm trying to get information from people, almost instantly I get a lot of thoughts because you've got a lot of thoughts running through your mind. So straight away I got this sense of like a movie that you were maybe thinking of. You were thinking about some food for a second, but then there was a country. Does that make sense to you? Now, if they've read all the information on this card like I instruct them to, if I say you were thinking of a country as well, they're going to agree with that because they'll be thinking of Spain. So I carry on. I say, forget all of that for a second. Just concentrate on the colour. In fact, the wall behind me, I want you to imagine it changing into that colour for me. Now, at this point, I might feign struggling to get the colour, and eventually I'll get to blue. Now, to the rest of the group, it looks like I've gone through a bit of a process. I've struggled a little bit, and I have actually nailed the colour, which in itself is impressive, given that there are a bunch of different colours. They were all mixed, and one was chosen. Now, if I'm doing one thing with the group, at this point I'll say, earlier on when you were thinking of things, it was like a movie, wasn't there? They might nod along with me if I'm nodding. I say, but there was a country, and they say yes. And I say, now you've not told anyone this country before. And I say, I may be wrong here, and I'll say, I'll forget it. But were you thinking of Spain before? And they'll agree. Now, to them, it's impressive. Again, you've got some information they were thinking of. They know it was from the card, but the rest of the group, and this, I was getting a lot of magicians with this at a convention. The rest of the group are thinking, how on earth did he get this country he was just randomly thinking of? Yeah. So you can set up these kind of moments based on the names, and there's a lot of other names. Well, every single name pretty much is created in this way to allow for these additional reveals to add more into your routines.
Yeah, and they're not all countries, so it's not as if you're going to be doing the same thing all the time. There's some different...
So I'll give some examples. I'll give some examples if you want. So we've got Panther Pink. So again, use your imagination there. We've got Titanic Black. We've got Gotham Grey. Nice. I'm not going to name them all on there because there's a few little other hidden ones. In fact, I've not named my favourite one. But yeah, there's a few others in there that you can have a lot of fun with.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's just such a great little utility item that people... I think if you're into magic, looking at getting into mentalism, I mean, if you're a mentalist, you're going to see the value straight away. But if you're a magician that's looking at getting into mentalism, having a utility item like this is great because it doesn't seem like a card trick, for one. It's very easy as a mentalist. People don't know how we read minds. And it's very easy to say, now, the easiest thing for me to pick up are colours. It just works that way. I don't know why. So we're going to try something out. And then, you've got your in. So I think this is perfect. If you're a magician that's looking at getting into mentalism, I think this is great. If you're a hobbyist, this is a perfect thing just to have laying around the house.
Yeah, just say, we were thinking of decorating the front room. We got a bunch of these colours, but can we try something with them? Like, what colours would you choose? In fact, don't tell me. Just go through and pick out the colour you would choose for our kitchen.
No,
get into great. More casual performances. There's probably one other main feature that we should probably just touch on as well. So I've mentioned that these are in stack. So these are in stack, but as Pete mentioned before, you could have a card chosen. You could look at the marking on the top card, and then you would know what card they've chosen. But the other way of understanding what card they've chosen is there's actually face markings on these cards for the next card in stack. So obviously they're not marked for the card because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But if we were to cut the deck at a position, navy smoke, I know from this face marking on navy smoke, which is built into the colour code. Again, these cards have colour codes. This makes sense. Built into this colour code, it marks out white, Arctic white, which is the next card in stack. All right.
Really
so
nice.
you may have even got a little glimpse there of the face marking for the next card in stack. Just when I showed it to camera, but they are marked on the faces. So again, if you're doing stack work, you can have the cards cut on the table where you're stood away. They take the top card. As you take the rest of the cards to place them in your pocket, you could have a look at the card. You can either look at the colour and then look at the next card in stack, or if you don't want to look at any of your cribs and you don't want to memorise the stack, you can look at the face marking as it goes into your pocket, and you'll know exactly which colour they've got. And it's worth mentioning the marking system that is used on the backs. The same methodology has been used with the marking system on the faces. All right, so you're not learning two marking systems, just to be super clear.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining us on Deep Dive. It's such an amazing, utility. They are available from Alakazam. It's called Gradient. So there'll be a link below this video as well. So go grab yourself a pack. And you did say that you learn multiple routines on there and ideas, and so tell us a little bit before we sign off. What do you get with the download?
Okay, so the download is about an hour and a half. First of all, I'll go through the features of the deck in a load of detail. We've touched on quite a lot of it here. There is some other things built in that I've not necessarily touched on here. So we go through all the features, what's built into the deck. I then explain 4 routines that you can perform immediately using the card. So just to touch on those, there is a routine based on Gemini twins, which is in there. So it's my version using the colour cards. Very easy to perform. But again, because of the features that are built in the deck, it's actually probably more fooling than Gemini twins as a foundational routine. There is a version of emotional reaction by Divernon in there, using the colour cards again, and this idea of colour being attached to emotions, and different colours can mean different things and how you feel. There is a routine in there which I tend to perform in more sit-down environments called the influence of colour. And that is, they make every single decision, the cards are mixed, and I talk about the influence of colour. They deal the cards out into these piles, and I say, now I know it feels as though you've not seen an awful lot of colour because these cards have been face down, but believe me, you have been influenced by colour. And then I reference this card that's been on the table, And I say the first colour here is orange. Turn over the first card, and they do, and it's orange. I say, actually, wouldn't it be incredible? Turn over the second card, and that's green and pink and navy, and they've correctly dealt to the entire top first row on here. But that's only the first kind of revelation, because then you flip the entire piles over and spread them, and they've done a full matching sequence to the entire kind of grid of colours that's here. So that's a personal favourite for like a sit down or a table performance. And then finally, there's a version of colour match. You know, why would we not put a colour match routine in there, given that's the exact prop for colours, which is
Yeah.
paint cards. So there is a mental colour match routine where they go on a journey in their mind through their childhood home or something similar, and they are imagining the walls in the home changing to the colours of the cards that they picked. And you're able to kind of go on that journey with them and reveal step by step which colours they are imagining within their house. So there's those 4 routines on there. And then a big thank you to Lewis Laval, who also joined me for a bonus section on the download, which was Lewis sharing his ideas and his thoughts using gradient. So he shares some routines in there that he's performed with gradient as well. So you get all that on the download. So there's loads to get going with. But like you said at the start, Pete, really it's a utility, it's a tool. Any card trick you do now, you could apply using these, change your presentation slightly, and it'll feel totally different.
Yeah, 100%. So I think that brings us to the end of this deep dive, Adam. So I want to say a big thank you for joining us. We will be getting you on again, because we will be launching, officially launching your next product really soon. So looking forward to getting you on again, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Pete, and I appreciate it.
Brilliant. So I'm going to say my goodbyes, but for now, Adam, thank you so much for joining us.
Cheers, guys.
So, guys, that was the amazing Adam Dadswell on this deep dive. Thank you so much for joining us. The effect is really worth checking out. If you're interested, you'll see a link below. You can go grab yourself one and start putting a bit more colour into your magic and mentalism. But like I said before, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified every time we put a new video up. And new videos go up every single day. We have some amazing content on the channel, including the deep dives, the Alexander vlog, the review show, the act, and loads of magic performances with great ideas for props you may already own. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you on the next deep dive. See you then.